What if Carthage won the Punic Wars against the Roman Empire? Well, we're going to check that out in today's video in Europa Universalis IV. The Mare Punicum mod has recently been revived and updated for 1.34, complete with many dozens of unique new tags and multiple new religions. Shall the Canaanite faith reign supreme? Will we witness a Hellenic revival? Will the Northmen spread the word of Odin by blood? Well, let's load in and find out. But first, I do have a goal of reaching 20,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so don't forget to subscribe if you aren't already. Now, you're going to see here that #1 great power is Ming, of course, but then in the second place we have Numidia, followed by the Timurids, and then a Belgium in fourth place. Belgium? A great power, okay. VJ, then Denmark, Muscovy, and Jaunpur. So quite a few missing nations there, notably Ottomans, England, Spain, Mamluks. All of those guys are gone because the map looks quite different. What if the Punic Wars resulted in a Roman loss? Some interesting stuff, according to this mod dev. As I would have said in the intro, you're going to notice a massive lack of Christianity. We've got the Hellenes over here in Anatolia, Greece, as well as Egypt. Hellenism over here in the Italian peninsula, surrounded by Canaanite. And of course, the lands of Carthage themselves, as well as to the north of their land, supposedly conquered by them later, Canaanite. We have Druidic over here in Gaul, as well as up in the British Isles, and Norse over here in Germany, as well as Scandinavia. Romuva, a very interesting religion. Look it up. Worth doing some research on it. Surrounded by animists, followers of Zoroaster over here in Iran, Iraq, and that region. Canaanites down in the south of Arabia, but we've also got some Jews, as well as Jews up in the Holy Land. Israel, the Jewish kingdom over here. Cultures are also super different. We have our Hellenic cultures over here, Armenian cultures over here, North Semitic cultures, Sudanese cultures, Arabic cultures, African cultures, Punic Berber cultures, whatever this one is, Atlantean, Spanian, with some Iberian natives, I assume, stuck in here, Latin cultures with a Roman included in that group, with Italian as a distinct culture from the Latins, Celtic cultures over here in Gaul. We have Belgae, which is pretty sweet. We have this Soissons, or however that is pronounced, Germanic, West Slavic, Nordic, as is vanilla. But we do have a couple of Nordic cultures over here. We have this Calaganid over here on the coasts, with the insular Celtic cultures up here in the British Isles. Oh, and I almost forgot. I definitely wanted to show you guys the development map mode because I think it looks different than vanilla. I'm pretty sure it looks different. Clearly, when you take a look over in Greece and Anatolia, there's a lot more development than in 1444 in vanilla. Italy is very yellow and green. No surprise there, but how about North Africa? North Africa looks quite good right now. Specifically in this area, there's a lot of development in Tunis, as well as just this northern coast in general and the Berber coast. I'm almost positive there's more development in Iberia than there usually would be. And then meanwhile, a lot of the very heavily wooded and forested areas up in Germania, a couple of 4 or 5 dev provinces up there. That's not really surprising. And I don't know if this is vanilla or not, but yeah, tons of 3 dev provinces up in Scandinavia. Clearly, a lot of time and love has been put into this mod. It's going to be linked in the description. I probably would have said that in the intro, but if you want to check it out, you should definitely check it out. But the way we're going to check it out is we're going to go speed 5 and unpause. Now, I'm taking a look around, and sadly, it does appear that most of these nations have generic mission trees. This Barakart here actually has the Aragonese mission tree, but it does appear that Atlas has a unique mission tree, though I think this is actually the Moroccan mission tree. Portuguese mission tree for these guys over here. So some of them have mission trees, but it seems like they're mostly just, you know, analogs to what the real world equivalent would be. Well, I think I've seen this one before. Israel in a defensive war against the Egyptians, while in an offensive war against these guys over here in Nabati. They're winning this one very handedly, but yeah, this one not so much. They're probably gonna lose this one. Also, how dope is this? I just noticed a Babylon over here. Generic mission tree, but still Babylon and Assyria right next to each other. How sick is that? Well, my worst nightmare has come true, and Belgium is actually growing in size. And it does appear that Jerusalem was indeed conquered by the Egyptians. Israel is no more. Ah, yes. Asia. Looking through some of the religions, some of them, like Druidic, don't have any mechanics or anything like that, and there's no icons either. Remuva is a pig, apparently. I think it's supposed to be a leaf. Asatru is just Norse. And now Canaanite, which is like a pagan Levantine religion, if I recall, uses the deity system that the Norse have, but the icons are not correct, though there is some description here, which is nice. Now, Hellenic as well uses the same system. Definitely a little bit of work to do on the localization and whatnot, but you know, it is working. It is definitely a work in progress, so I'm not judging it based on that. And 40 years in, we're definitely seeing some interesting stuff going on here. Egypt has expanded in their power base as well as down south into Nubia. Africa has formed and has conquested quite a bit of land over here on the coast. And over here, Atlas has conquested most of the land over here, and the Melechonids have also conquested most of Iberia. Meanwhile, Campania is over here, settling through most of Italy, and Syria has migrated up north into Anatolia. I do regret to inform you that the Armenians and the Ajamis, or whatever you would call them, have conquested Assyria and most of Babylon. Up in the north, there is quite a bit of mess going on here. Lots of little wars going on. I'm really having a hard time keeping track of it, but right now it looks like Muscovy is pushing back the Danes. Also, I believe Pannonia is a new formable tag in the mod. I don't think I've ever seen that one before, and I don't think it was present in 1444. The Canaanites are converting much of the Druids up here in Gallia, and the Canaanite Egyptians have converted much of the Hellenic Egyptian lands. However, Ethiopia, with a twist, they have gone Jewish, and it looks like they're actually doing a pretty good job of preserving Jewish religion down here in the south. And I literally just realized this, but it does appear that the SPQR is still present in Roma in 1444. They started here and they remain here 40 years later with 18 dev in the farmlands of Roma. And literally right as I unpause, the number 2, or at least used to be number 2 great power, is getting ganged up on by Atlas and Africa. 2 separate wars as well, so they're probably gonna get destroyed. Trade nodes are all the same, but a few of them have been renamed. We have Alexandria, of course, with Carthage, Mauritania, Gadir, Kaliga, Rem, Tiniles. Aside from that, I think they're mostly the same. Byzantium over here. And 100 years in, we are certainly seeing certain power blocks get set up. The 3 tags of Atlas, Africa, and Egypt dominating northern Africa. Melechonids and Barakwart, or however that is pronounced, in Iberia. Campania in Italy, as well as Venice with a bit of the Balkans. Greece and Syria are doing quite well over here, but how about that Pergamon? They migrated north, decided to take over Byzantium as well as Thracia. Armenia over here holding back the Persians, the Zoroastrian Persians. Animus Muscovy cannot hurt you. Do not fear, my friends. Pruthenia doing quite well up here, actually pushing land into Scandinavia with a bit of Jutland. Belgium still doing quite well, working their way up into the lowlands, and then this Reged over here looking like they're going to be taking over London. It does appear that the Asatru have worked their way over and pushed the Druids out of Carpathia. But up in the north over here, it looks like the Druids are going to be pushing the Canaanites out of Britannia. And funnily enough, a bit of the land over here has been converted by the Pruthenians to Remuva from the Asatru. Persia has decided to go Shia instead of Zoroastrian. My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined. Now, I almost missed this. We're still in the Age of Discovery. I don't really know how the age change will work. I don't know if that's actually been addressed in this mod, but we do have colonialism has spawned over in Sussex. Even though the Belgians are up here in Sussex now, London actually spawned it and is over in the New World, Londoner, Newfoundland, right over here by this Regder, Quebec. So we've got a couple of colonial nations already. I said animist Muscovy cannot hurt you. I don't know about animist Russia. Kind of terrifying. Also, poor Austria. The Norse Austria just got ganged up on and destroyed by Pergamon. And it doesn't look like that's slowing down. It looks like they're about to lose way more land to the people around them. Blood in the water is blood in the water, my friends. Time to eat. 1607 and the Great Power is looking a little interesting. In the number 1 spot, we've got a Swabia. More on that in a moment. Persia, the Ming, all the way down to number 3, but still a massive, almost 2K development. Africa with about 800, with Belgium neck and neck for the 5th place spot. Pruthenia, Pergamon, and Barakart. Swabia, formed by what I assume is Campania. The boyos down here in the south of Iberia got squished, and they got full annexed by the boys around them. Qualiza and Balakart looking good. Atlas been on a bit of a slow decline, not sure if they've lost a lot of land, but they definitely haven't gained any. And meanwhile, Africa, working their way down into, well, Africa. And Egypt, for that matter. Egypt is, they're dead. Egypt is basically gone. But who is not gone is Israel. Ruling from Jerusalem, they were gone, they were lost, but then they were found. Armenia looking like a crab claw over here, with Syria and Pergamon competing for dominance in Anatolia. Greece and Venice sharing a bit of a border, but not a whole lot of fighting going on between the two of them. And then we have an Albion, formed by a nation which I am not able to pronounce. Belgium looking the same as they did like 50 years ago, to be honest with you. So yeah, they've worked their way into Germany a bit more, but not a whole lot outside of that. The Londoners and the newly formed Britons are still colonizing Canada and a bit on the east coast over here, but not much past that. Florida men speaking like the British down there, with the Texans over here also speaking like the British. The Caribbean, though, now that is a mess. We have Sweden down here in Barbados, Belgians in Puerto Rico, the Bar Kids over here on this isle splitting it with Caliza, and London down here in Havana with Belgium and Caliza splitting the rest of the island with them. Belgium just menacingly standing 32,000 men. We also have Londoners in La Plata, as well as over here bordering the Incans, which have formed. These little exclaves of Egypt down here along the border of Ethiopia is hilarious, and I love it. And Ethiopia remains a holdout for Judaism. Congo and Kilwa down in the south, with Kilwa actually colonizing the Cape of Good Hope. And we did see it, big strong Ming in the leaderboards, and yeah, they're big and strong. And all of this is outside the scope of the mod, but still cool to take a look. Ming has pushed Bengal out of Bengal, and Vijay has pushed Bamanas out of the center parts, where they are literally just gone. So we have Jaunpur and Vijay with Mewar over here acting as the kind of 3 Indian blobs. Gujarat is, yeah, they're not doing too good. Ayutthaya over here, no surprise there, with Sunda over here, and it looks like they've even hopped over onto Borneo. Japan is also united, which is always nice to see. Not so nice to see is Korea exiled into Manchuria. We got 100 years left, and we have some interesting border changes. Swabia has migrated up into the Northlands and has formed Deutschland. Kind of an interesting concept that Germany is a tag formed by an Italian/Latin nation that migrated to the north, still controls all of Italy, but is now Germany. Kind of making my head hurt, honestly. For better or for worse, Belgium is essentially gone. They're basically dead. But Africa is thriving. Sadly, Ethiopia is gone. They have been integrated between Kilwa and Africa, but you know, they live on in our hearts. Kilwa, who by the way up to this point has been doing extremely well, but I don't think they stand a chance. Atlas over here has migrated south and controls most of the western Sahel region. London has migrated across the channel and now controls the lands surrounding Paris. And Bithynia has migrated partially out of where they originally were and are now Scandinavia. And speaking of migrating, how about this Pergamene Eastern Europe, where there used to be a big beefy animist Russia. I don't know what happened to them, but they're gone. They're gone entirely. Oh my gosh, no, I lied. They're not gone. They are a 1-province minor up here. That's good. I like that. Persia currently getting ganged up on by Syria and Africa, and not looking too good for them. Sadly, Armenia is gone in this timeline, but Greece had a bit of a comeback. They took over a bunch of land from Pergamon, so apparently there was a weakness that was sensed. Of course, we have to mention Venice. My goodness, Venice. Absolutely massive, and they've grown and they haven't lost any land that I'm aware of. And we've got our 2 brother nations of Iberia have migrated up into southern France, and probably only a matter of time before war kicks off between the 2 of them. Ming currently getting their cheeks clapped by a big, strong Jaunpur. Japan has eaten parts of Korea, and now Korea has migrated into northern Korea. We've got Britons and Londoners down under. And South America is a freaking mess. We've got people from all over the place, colonizing all over the place. Though I think my favorite one is German southern Chile. We've got a mess over here as well. 3 different nations fighting it out for California. We have an independent Mexico who is fighting with a couple of other people, and it looks like Germany at the moment. We have a Muisca who has migrated out of Colombia and is now in whatever this area is over here. What nation is this? Honduras? What nation is in between Panama and Guatemala? Is this Guatemala? Nicaragua? I don't know. Central American geography is a little hard for me. We have a Cuba with the Galician flag here. Still a bit of a mess over here, and we still have Sweden and Barbados. But my favorite thing is the East Coast. We have New Bithynia, New London, New Germany, New Albion. Oh my gosh, this is an absolute mess, and I love it. And even better yet, we've got an Iceland in Bermuda. There has 100% been a Hellenic renaissance, as they have pushed all the way into the north, and the Norse are basically gone. Iceland is Remuva even. Very weird. The Hellenes are all the way out into the Russian steppes. We've even got some Zoroastrian up here, and oh no, Russia's Zoroastrian with a Romanov. This is awesome. However, the land of the Canaanites are still thriving, doing just fine. An Albion with a no flag of rebels is currently getting dominated by the Londoners. The Londoners, who are like a 4 or 5 province minor in the beginning, so quite a good story for them. Roman culture has been completely eradicated. We have some Italians in the south and Latins in the north. In Germany, it's still Germanic culture. So I really don't know how these guys manage that. I assume that the decisions have been changed, but either way, these border changes are nuts and I love it. I also have to say, I really do like this grease color. I think it's better than the vanilla color. It also matches the flag, so I think that might be what it is. I like it when flags match the color of the nation. So it appears in the end here, we've got Deutschland über alles. London actually had a crazy game, and we're going to show you that. Africa, very competitive. VJ, John Poor, more on that in a moment as well. Kaliza, which I assume is like Galicia kind of deal. Ming, managing to still round out the top 8 with Venice below them, with no hegemons this time around. Boy, Europe, looking interesting. Looking very interesting. Greece is, the Ottomans, apparently. Cyprus is Cyprus, an independent nation. Africa lived up to their name and, you know, conquered a lot of Africa, though I'd say Congo did pretty well in their own right. But honey, it's a Chewbert vid. Time to bust out the Zulu. The Zulu right next to African South Africa. Very nice. We also can't forget about African Southern Ireland, surrounded by a massive London conquering the entirety of Albion. Belgium is a 2-province minor, landlocked nation. Hilarious. And Pruthenia was exclusively pushed out of Pruthenia. And speaking being pushed out of your nation, how about Pergamon being pushed out of Anatolia and becoming the Steppes? Right next to a massive Jaunpur, who is also the Steppes, as well as a very large portion of northern India, as well as like half of China. Well played, Jaunpur. Well played. Hilariously, Uzbek is an enclave of the Ming, thousands of miles from their homelands, and the Vijayanagari East Indies is a thing. Just down the street from Londoner Malaya and Londoner Indonesia. And of course we have the African Moluccas right next to the Kuala Indonesia and the Kuala Moluccas. Sorry, I'm just going to keep butchering these names. It's not going to happen. We have Londoner Australia and then Londoner Australia. The fact that these are the same colonial area, I'm sure does upset some people, and I think it's hilarious. South America's borders cleaned up quite a bit. We do still have German down on the tip there. Lots of Germans down here in Patagonia, you know, some Argentinian German refugees of some sort. But it's mostly Londoner with a couple of Qualizanid in the north, with a couple of Britain subjects still hanging out. When we get up in the north, that's when things get a little bit more interesting. We have Londoner, African, and Britain, Alaska / Cascadia. We have Britain, Alaska down here in like Washington, Oregon, Idaho. Londoner, California, and Londoner, Mexico surrounding Qualizanid, California. New Albion inside of New Germany, inside of Londoner, Canada, as well as New London, of course. And hilariously, New Germany intermingling a lot with German Mexico. Look at these borders, bro. We got German Mexico inside of New Germany. Enclave, enclave, enclave. A native over here. Mexico formed a while ago, and they've been eaten up as well. Londoner, Mexico decided to just hang out in the central parts. And we have German Nicaragua, which hasn't even formed a nation yet. That's a good looking New World. I like that. Culturally, the New World is extremely Britain. There's a few Ashtartians over here, which is the Spanish group. Some natives, but aside from that, that's really it. Prolific colonizers. Atlas did do a bit of colonization over here in the Philippines as well as in the Moluccas, but nothing major. More Britain down under as well, like you would expect. And the religious map mode is super interesting. Romuva was basically exiled to Iceland. There's a couple of things over here and whatnot, but I don't think it's going to be around forever. Canaanite still remained down here in Italy, and Druidic was essentially exterminated as well. We still have some animists over here in the Balkans, which is hilarious, and Zoroastrians not doing so well either. Syria actually took over Persia and is Canaanite, so that's a thing. Jaunpur is no longer Sunni, they are Hindu. Very cool. Most of Africa is Canaanite and or fetishist. But we can't forget about our Jewish lads over here. South America, almost exclusively Canaanite, and North America, very heavy on the Druidic side with a bit of Canaanite sprinkled in for flavor. Lots of trade value up here in these end nodes. Incredible. Venice is actually competitive with the channel. And as I had mentioned, these Qualiza have definitely pushed the Baracart back. Before they were bordering kind of like in the middle of Spain. Now they've been pushed back. Cool little mod, definitely needs a bit of work, but hey, I'll give it a chance. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Check out the mod, link is in the description. If you want early access to this video like the rest of the cool people who did, you can check out my Patreon and support over there. If you want early access to these videos, you can support me on Patreon for as little as $5 a month. And if you want to join my community, we have Discord, subreddit, Twitter, all linked in the description below with my Patreon. If you want to see more stuff like this, let me know in the comments down below. And if you have a suggestion of something that you'd like to see, leave that below as well. But that is all I've got for you for this one. Till next time, guys, stay chill.